Hi, welcome to my home. My name is Kathy, and today's video is the second video in the series of what to prepare once you've gotten the 3 B's taken care of. You know, beans, band-aids, and bullets. I'm going to be sharing my ideas of categories of items that maybe you haven't thought of, or maybe you thought of them and maybe I have some additional ideas for that category that you haven't thought of. And I'm sure you probably have ideas of things that I haven't thought of. So please, as we're going through the video, leave a comment down below if you have additional things that you're stocking that I didn't mention, because I really want this to be a two-way communication so that we can learn from each other. Because a lot of times the comment section is where the best information comes from, when we all share ideas with each other. The first category for today's video, which would be number 5 if you watched last week's video, and that is personal hygiene. In this category, I've included soap and deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, dental floss, shaving cream, and don't forget the razors. Also have contact solution. Going along with the contact solution, I think it's important to think about your eye health. So if you are in need of getting an eye exam, maybe it's been a couple of years since you've had your last eye exam, this year may be the year to go ahead and get that eye exam, get yourself an updated pair of glasses, and stock up on contacts if you wear contacts. Another good thing to add into the mix of that is eye drops. I've also included mouthwash, body soap, Q-tips, shampoo, some conditioner, lotions. If you're in an area that's very dry like I am, you'll definitely want to make sure you have your lotions on hand, and also sunscreen and some bug repellent. If you're a woman that's still having her menstrual cycle, you want to make sure you have the proper supplies on hand. If that doesn't apply to you, maybe think about the women or young women in your family that you're preparing for, that maybe they would need something like that at some point. So it might not be a bad idea to have a supply on hand so that when the time does come, you're not in a situation where you're not able to get the supplies that you need. And along with that, cleaning wipes are a very good thing to have on hand in those scenarios where maybe water is of short supply. Cleaning wipes are a good thing to have so that even for just, washing off your hands or your face, or doing a body sponge bath to help keep yourself clean, because that's going to be very important. And for those of you out there that have young children, or maybe someone in your family is pregnant or considering becoming pregnant, things you may want to stock up on would be have a supply of diapers and the wipes and maybe diaper cream, things like that on hand. Another thing to possibly consider are reusable options for both menstrual products and also baby diapers. If you have some products that are reusable, you wouldn't have to stock a large supply to be able to meet the needs of your family members when the time arises. One thing I think about when deciding what to prep and what to have extra on hand of that I really don't want to run out of is, as I'm getting ready in the morning, I'll think about all of the things that I use and what is it that I have that I would not want to go without. So for you, it might be items completely different than what I'm showing here. And of course, this is not, an all-inclusive list. So please share your ideas of what you're stocking up on so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you've run out and the stores don't have any more. The next category is temperature control. You'll want to have a way to be able to stay warm. So you'll want warm clothes, jackets, gloves, boots, maybe some wool socks, Blankets. Have extra blankets. Have a wool blanket for each bed or each person. Survival blankets, the kind that are folded up nice and small, that you'd be able to use maybe as a little bit of an insulator under another blanket. Think about sleeping bags. What do you have in your camping gear that you could use in case you were in a situation where you didn't have power and it was wintertime outside and you were really cold and needed to stay warm? Something else that could help keep you warm is, do you have a fireplace? Do you have a wood stove? If not, maybe you may want to consider getting a camping tent wood stove that could be vented to the outside, but small enough that you could store away in case you needed it to help heat a room. And for cooling, maybe think about having some battery-operated fans or cooling scarves or vests. And don't forget the dogs. If you have a dog that's sensitive to heat, maybe consider getting a cooling scarf or a cooling vest for your pets as well. The next category is cooking. You'll want to have a way to be able to cook in case you don't have electricity, or maybe your gas isn't working, your propane isn't working. So some of the things I thought of for the cooking category would be like have a propane grill, and of course have extra propane cylinders filled and ready to use. Or if you don't have a propane grill and you have a briquette grill, make sure you have extra briquettes on hand. And I think you want to make sure those stay in a place where they're going to stay dry. Maybe in a garbage can or something like that that would keep those briquettes nice and dry so that they're viable and ready to use when you need them. Another thing could be a camp stove, the kind that use those small butane cylinders. Store that away somewhere, and if the need arises, you'd have it to be able to pull out, and make sure you have extra butane cylinders on hand for that as well. If you have a wood stove or a fireplace, you could also cook on those. Or if you're able to start a fire, maybe in your backyard, in a fire pit or a fire ring, and be able to cook over the fire or the hot coals that the fire created. One thing about the Texas freeze that they experienced last year, one thing that really caught me and has stuck with me since then, the news was doing an interview with a lady, and they were talking about how the water was flowing again. They were getting water into their homes, but they were told by the water authorities to boil the water before using it. And this lady, bless her heart, she was on the news saying, how are we supposed to boil the water if we don't have electricity? And that just really struck me. How sad to think that she was completely perplexed on how to possibly boil water without her electric stove working. I hope that no one watching this video right now is ever going to find themselves in that situation where they don't know how to boil water if their electric stove is not working. I so hope that you have a backup plan to use in case you weren't able to use the stove that's in your house. The next thing on the cooking list would be cookware that you could use on an open flame or on a wood stove. That would be like maybe a cast iron, I think would be the best. Stainless steel would probably be my second choice. I don't know that I'd want to do aluminum, and I certainly wouldn't want to do anything that had a non-stick coating on it. So make sure you have, one or two pots in your arsenal of cookware that you can use on an open flame. And also consider having things like a manual can opener, a manual potato masher, even a manual little hand crank blender, or things that you wouldn't need to use electricity for, but would still be very handy in the kitchen so that you can prepare meals without the use of all the electric gadgets. Next on the list is lighting. You'll want to make sure you have a way to light your room in case the power does go out. Here I have a couple of different types of candles. This one here is a 100-hour emergency candle. This one also, I believe, is a 100-hour, but this is filled with an oil. I also have a couple of oil lamps. These come in real handy. They put out a lot of light, and so you'd really only need one for, any room that you're in. I keep my eye out at thrift stores and garage sales, and I've been able to pick these up for very inexpensive. If you're going to have oil lamps, make sure you have a good supply of lamp oil and also matches so that you can light your candles and your oil lamps. You'll also want to make sure you have flashlights on hand and that they're kept in a convenient location, because chances are you're going to need to grab that flashlight in order to go gather all of your oil lamps or candles and get them positioned into place. And along with those flashlights, make sure you have plenty of batteries on hand. I know these batteries will last a long time, but you will be wanting to rotate through them so that when you do need that battery, it's not dead. Another thing to also consider are items that do dual purpose. This is an emergency crank weather radio. This can be charged using solar or a hand crank, or if you do have power, you can plug it in and charge it that way. But it has a light on it, so it can also work as a flashlight in addition to the radio. Other things to consider if you're able to, if you're in a position to do it, is to have something like a generator, either a gas or a solar generator on hand, or solar panels that you'd be able to turn on to power things in your home in case the power went out. What are some other ideas that you can think of that I haven't mentioned here? Well, I hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified each time I put out a new video. Next week's video is going to be another video in this series where I share with you 4 or 5 more ideas on items you may want to consider including in your preps. Well, until next time, I hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye now.